Hello, I'm going to make a video about the new fancy, greatest Rust language that'll be adding the Linux kernel, right? They will be adding the Linux kernel. So how good that code is, right? I'm gonna see. Now, first, just go any of them. Just for example, this is my favorite example. Okay. Wow. 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 Unsafe. 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 Okay. Unsafe. 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 Okay, this is what. Okay, not an unsafe function. Okay, another unsafe function. Unsafe. All right. Unsafe. 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 Okay. The only thing they don't use unsafe is that something comparison, compare two pointer. Okay, then you don't compare the address of two pointer. You don't need unsafe. Okay, I get it. Unsafe. 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 Okay, can we just continue find unsafe here? I think we can still find a lot of unsafe. Just a bunch of code. Unsafe. It's just too many unsafe. Okay, unsafe. 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 You know, the funny stuff is that here they have an unsafe. Now you have another unsafe. Then you have another unsafe. Okay. Then you have another unsafe. Okay. It blows my mind blows. You know, just mind blows. Wow, mind blows. You know. So check another one. You know, the Rustsec told us unsafe is rare. You know, it's just you really need unsafe. Okay, you really need any unsafe. Okay, so now unsafe. Okay, they don't just want you to use unsafe. They want to use root unsafe. Okay. All right, and not just they write two functions. One is shrink to fake, the other is try shrink to fake. Okay, try new. Every function need to write twice. You know, it's like, you know, just very like C++ code, right? The old C++ we love to joke about, just dual error reporting, right? One for exceptions, one for error code. Now you can see. Here's exactly what the Rustsec is doing, and I think, yeah, this is my favorite example. Allocate for layout. Unwrap. I saw Linux kernel is unwrap, right? You don't have any stuff, right? You don't have kernel pan. You don't have panning handler. You don't have libgcc. You cannot use unwrap, right? But here they use unwrap. After they use unwrap, then they unsafe. Unsafe, then unwrap. Unwrap, then unsafe. Unsafe, unwrap. Unwrap, unsafe. So RC box brackets. So who is thinking of the idea here? Who is proposing code like this? I don't know. Who is proposing that? Okay. Now, but this is not the end of story. Okay, this is not the end of story. Now, my favorite, you know, let's just see a code just merged yesterday. I think it's just the code that merged yesterday. Okay, parting request. You know, not just unsafe. You need to put safety comments before unsafe. Okay. So just unsafe is not enough. You need to unsafe before the safety. All right. So, and I find another very interesting stuff is that they say clean unsafe or put in unsafe from warnings. Okay. Oh, what's that warning? Okay, I think a lot of people don't understand. So the warning is that you need to still use unsafe even inside unsafe function. All the compiler will, if someone is using deny unsafe unsafe or being unsafe function, you will get compilation error. Okay, which means if you have old code that's written that in an unsafe way with unsafe function, you think it's enough. We think it's enough too, but they're saying no, it's not enough. We are going to break your code in the future. Okay, I'll just show you why they're saying they're breaking your future code in the future. So unsafe, 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 unsafe. This one is my favorite one. You know, they originally they write code like this. Now they're going to do this. Unsafe, 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 unsafe. Let's just go to the file. Okay, go to that file. They think they just think unsafe are not enough. We need more unsafe. Okay, unsafe, 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 unsafe. Okay, I've already marked that function as unsafe function, but you are saying I must use unsafe for every lines of function. Probably, I think they're probably going to do is that we are going to add safety comments before that. Okay, in the future, someone might propose, and I think it might be in the future that Rust. I wouldn't be surprised if you do this. You must put 3 lines of comments, and you have to write a lot of words before any unsafe keyword. Okay, you need to tell why you're using that. Then you have to put comments here, or the compiler won't compile code. You have to write outright code. Okay, so now you have unsafe inside one line. Okay, mind blows. Okay, mind blows. Okay, all right. The code is unreadable. Okay, so what? But the question is that someone is proposing that, and what does that mean? Okay, I think can I just show? Yeah, unsafe. But I want to see what does that mean, right? What does it mean? So, oh, they said deny. You can deny that function. Deny unsafe, unsafe, unsafe. But what is unsafe blocking, unsafe function, right? They actually have a document which is Rust RFC. Okay, unsafe, unsafe, unsafe. So now they are saying, for this reason, then they're saying that they want to protect your code. The argument is that we want to protect your code, and you can deny that functionality. So which means you cannot write this code. It's perfectly fine, right? We know it's just one line function. You write unsafe, and we know that function is unsafe. You only execute x.get unchecked, right? But I'm saying, no, this code will emit a warning. And if someone is using deny that warning, deny that stuff, your code will fail to compile. Okay, your Rust code will fail to compile. And you have to write code like this to say, I only write unsafe once. And they're saying, you cannot write unsafe for twice. Okay, you cannot write unsafe for twice. Think of it, if you write some functions that might have, as the statement might have multiple unsafe statements just inside one function. They're saying you must use unsafe. You can only use one unsafe. You can't use twice of unsafe and in the code. That's exactly why I think that's exactly why we are seeing 2 unsafe inside one line, and which one line with a bunch of unsafe. Okay. Okay. All right. So, you know, this is the Rust folk told us you really need unsafe, but they're arbitrarily telling you you need to use a bunch of unsafe. So, whatever. I think they also mentioned about C#. They say C# was to have that notion of unsafe. However, unsafe never plays any hard roles in C# ecosystem, and do not have the culture of thinking about this in terms of proof application. Okay, they're just saying it's C# fault. It's not our fault. It's C# fault. That only proves. So I want to ask you, the Rust devs themselves, why do you think why Rust have the culture of using a bunch of unsafe? Why? Okay. Right. The language, the fundamental problem is that language is too weak, just like I mentioned before. The language is too weak, you have to use the unsafe just to get your job done, okay? Now, I would like to see who is backing up this Rustful violating stuff, right? Because they think Rust is perfect, Rust doesn't have any CVEs with it. And Alex. Oh, I think I remember Alex. Who is Alex? Oh, it's this guy, it's this guy. That guy I just mentioned last time, that guy who say modern C++ stuff don't save us. C++ violates human rights, okay? C++ violates human rights, okay? They think Tibet, whatever, Uyghurs, right? It's just a complete lie. I'm not saying that, but they're saying using C and C++ violates human rights, okay? Okay? And I see the same thing on the memory safe word, human rights, okay? Human rights, using C and C++ is bad for society, bad for reputation, because you have vulnerabilities can be exploited, right? Then using C and C++ violates human rights, okay? Violates human rights, okay? And use are free, or they saying whatever they want, but I want to see how safe Rust actually is. Use double free, use after free, out of bounds, okay, out of bounds. User free, out of bounds. And recently they have a bug. I really love this bug. Okay, the CVE. I really love the CVE. Okay. So which is 9.8 critical CVE, double free. Okay. What about internal blue? Okay, internal blue CVE. I wanna see. Well, we know internal blue is a very serious CVE, right? Let's just see. Okay. Wow, 8.1. Maybe I'm using the wrong. Maybe that's not the correct CVE. I will check. I remember that is the correct CVE. Yeah. WannaCry is 4.4. Probably be 4.4 or 4.8. Let's just check that CVE. .1. Okay. So, all right. Maybe I'm stupid. You can point me out what I'm wrong here. But here, what we see here is that, wow, your stdlib has more serious CVE than the internal blue. Then WannaCry, right? Then the CVE WannaCry have here. WannaCry, okay. How could you blame the other people, right? So based on their logic, is Rust also human rights violators? Alright. They told us unsafe is rare, okay? This is Linus kernel's word. I think anyone, if you don't believe my words, you can just read it. Okay? Just so many unsafe. Okay, so many unsafe. Unsafe everywhere. And so I want to just check this unsafe blocking, unsafe fun stuff. Alright. Now I can think about how the Rust code would do something like that, which means you want to dereference a pointer. You would probably you might write code like this, right? Okay, so instead of just doing in other language, you do p1.x.y equals p2.x.y. Now you do this, right? Now you do this. Unsafe p dot get mute unchecked dot unsafe unwrap unsafe. Okay, unsafe. I think that's typical Rust code. Looks like, right? You have I'm already marked that function as unsafe, but you still need to write unsafe, unwrap, unsafe, just to do the job of p1.x.y equals p2 x y. So Does the Rust devs believe that developers' times are not time? They just want you to typo goggly piece of shit, and I feel the first one is completely unreadable, right? How do you know the first one is I mean, in the second one, we can see any problems with the code. It's very clear what the code is doing, but the first one is get unchecked. The code is unreadable. Then you also have this comment here, you have this unwrap here. The code is is completely unreadable. Okay. That's exactly, probably provide more bugs, right? Your code is longer for doing the job it should be done, and it's probably it just probably creates more bugs, right? And we know it probably going to also increase the compilation speed, right? Decrease compilation speed, make the compilation even worse, right? The Rust compilation speed is already terrible. They're gonna make it, this is probably going to make it even worse due to the extra diagnostic they have to do. Now you have get mute unchecked, unsafe. I mean, if I have the time to fight against the compiler, I would rather use that time to fuzz, right? To actually fuzz my code and write modern C++ fuzz my code. Why should I write ugly piece of shit like this? I think they're probably going to ask you for doing more. Like they're going to say, you're gonna write comments before every unsafe blog. Probably, I think they're probably going to do this. Okay, I wouldn't be surprised they will do this in the future. They say we want to make programmers' life harder just to ensure safety. Okay, one lines of function, line of code becomes piece of shit like this. Okay, safety. That's typical Rust code. Okay. No joke. Okay, no joke. But I really want to understand who is backing up the movement, right? Using C and C++ violates human rights. Okay, so I searched for Rust for Linux. Okay. Wow. Google. Okay. Google is funding Rust for Linux organization. I don't know what the organization is. You know, the typical this organization. Google is funding them. All right. Wow. Google. I would say Google has too much power in our life, right? They are funding them to sponsor Rust for Linux organization. It's not even Linus Torvalds himself say we're going to use Rust. Is that he can get money from using Rust. Okay. I'm worried about the future of Linux. I think Linux itself has already been deeply affected by Google. Google has too much power in the Linux world. Think about their Android phone, right? Android phone. What did the Google did to the Android phone? Or why I'm using the Edge Chromium, right? I'm using the Edge Chromium, and it's because the old Edge dies, right? They cannot compete with Google. Google has too much power, right? We know Microsoft is another guy who has too much power, but here we are saying about Google, okay? Here entire service backed with Google. Okay, so these big companies has too much power in our life, right? They can just do everything what they want, right? You think Rust for Linux is a very bad idea? No problem. We give you money, right? We give you $1 million. Give Linus Torvald $1 million. He will do it, right? They're publicly saying we are funding Rust for Linux organization. They are funding Linus Torvald, right? So you can understand now Linus Torvald is probably just a puppet of Google, right? Google has too much power on us, and that's exactly you can see all this false information on the internet instead of actually anyone to check the code. and then everyone to check the code. Why do they think making code ugly will make your code safer? I don't understand. Do they just think that Rust does not have any CVEs? Okay, someone will say I don't see any CVEs in Firefox. Is that true? Is that true that Firefox does not have any CVEs? Okay, let's just go to Firefox safety CVEs. I think they have their own CVE stuff. Probably this one is okay. Just in the first page, because I cannot use. I think it's very hard to see other pages here because they say I don't have permissions. But just the one I can access. It's a high critical vulnerability. I think this. Okay, I don't think this one. I think there's that one. Yeah, should be this one. Why? They have hide the CVEs. Let me just check that. Wait, let me check. Can I just find the CVEs here? Yeah, I think I could find that CVE. Okay, this one. Right. Let's just see how the code is included. Oh wow, Rust. Well, the latest greatest language have memory safety vulnerabilities. I don't even see unsafe. I don't even see unsafe, right? Not every code are because of unsafe, right? Is that an unsafe function? No, it's not an unsafe function either, right? But they have the vulnerabilities here, memory safety vulnerabilities, right? Right? It's not even unsafe code. I think we have unsafe, but it has nothing to do with the code that is bugged here, right? Nothing. That code is actually unsafe, right? So this is a recent CVEs in Firefox. Okay, but the Rust told us you don't have CVEs with Rust. So these big companies too much power on us. They can manipulate how we think, right? They can just say whatever they want and just ban everyone else. I don't know whether I would say that something. They will ban me on the YouTube, but I'm going to say something. And Google is funding too much. I mean, if Rust actually improves the quality of Linux kernel, that'll be pretty good. And I think not very people will be against it. But here it's clearly not, right? The code is too ugly. It's just we know that the code in user space has nothing to do with the code in kernel space, because even in kernel, if you write some low-level code, you need a bunch of unsafe. If you're dealing with operating system APIs, you need a bunch of unsafe. Of course, that's same with the Linux kernel. You need a bunch of unsafe. But all this experience we have from the user space does not hold at all. Even the Red X OS have security vulnerabilities. It's simply untrue to say Rust is immune from security vulnerabilities. I would rather take the time of writing shit like this to fuzz my code. I would rather to use fuzzing, right? I would rather use C++ plus sanitizers plus fuzzing, right? It saves my time compared to read and write shit like this, right? And even with that kind of shit, you still need to use fuzzing, right? You cannot say I'm writing Rust code and I don't need fuzzing anymore. Even safe Rust code can have bugs, and some security people have already pointed out due to some miscompilation with all sorts of issues with the compiler. You always need sanitizers. Basically, you always need sanitizers to sanitize your code. Right? I mean, if you have so much time to writing shit like this, I would rather just continue using modern C++ sanitizer fuzzing, right? Why do you think the putting comments, 3 kinds of comments before that shit plus unsafe every component of your function is good. Also, you have unwrap. You have to deal with all sorts of other issues like unwrap, unsafe, whatever with it. Okay? Okay, then you have dime trace, whatever. I just don't write it. You know what I'm saying. So, yeah. So good. You know, Google has too much power on R1, right? They have too much power. They also have too much power on Linux. Of course, they have too much power on Linux too, right? They can change with the Linux binder. They can change all sorts of stuff inside Linux kernel. That's really unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. I hope they could be honest, but they don't, right? They're just using money. I'm right. I think if you gave Linus Torvalds $10 million, he would accept Java code. $1 million, okay? He would accept Java. Give Linus Torvalds. Okay, we should say donate. Okay, the Westerner loves to use the word donate. $10 million. He would allow Java code in kernel. Okay, I wouldn't be surprised that's the case. Donate $100 million, he would provide JavaScript code in kernel. Okay, or donate $1 billion. Okay, you can buy Linux. You can buy Linux kernel, whatever you want. You can just buy entire source code. That code is yours. Okay. So clearly, these big companies have too much power on our lives, and unfortunately, Linus he does not care about his own kernel anymore. And the funny stuff is that excuse for my lack of internal log knowledge of Rust knowledge. But when do these bring up the issues? Okay. I remember he even mocked C++. He said C++ is a terrible language. Yes, C++ is a terrible language for kernel. But I want to see the guy who proposed that, who is saying, because we usually just listen to what Linus Torvalds is saying, we ignore what other people is saying. So, Linus Torvalds is a very bad language. The solution is simple, just the MSS. Rust in Linux kernel, okay? Kernel, MSS, okay. The MSS, okay, this guy is saying just using C or C++. But why he is saying that? He said Rust safety is no longer guaranteed than when the code calls an unsafe function, which is pretty much every kernel API right now. I think he already reviewed the code. Anyone who reviewed the code will say the same thing, although I disagree with him on using C++ for kernel. But let's see what the guy is saying that just say unsafe, right? I think just too many unsafe, right? It's just too many unsafe. And even though they love to use these lies that, particularly this a place for hitting C++, but instead of actually do something to make the code to give any reasonable explanation, right? But yeah, that's exactly he's saying, right? Rust, which is pretty much the code right now. It's no longer guaranteed when calling unsafe, pretty much the unsafe file. Then all these people just mocking people, saying using C++ is a terrible language, whatever. I don't care about whether C++ is terrible. I want to see what his reason for doing so, right? And I think I remember he write something more, just explaining why it's just too many unsafe here. Yeah, I think I will post here, and you can go and read it. But they are going to use this. Okay. Whatever. Oh, trolling. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe these people are brainwashed by Google. They are brainwashed. All they can do is just hating C++ and promoting their Rust. They will say C++ is terrible. We want Rust to replace C++. Whatever. Then here's the result you have, right? I'll say one line of function with so many unwrap. Notice I never say using C++ is a good option for the kernel because of exception handling is one particular problems, and other problems that you don't have address of, you don't have all sorts of problems with the kernel. But if your argument is if code shit like this, okay, if shit like this, okay, yeah, if shit like this is allowed in the kernel, also they do incur that runtime overhead. Don't believe they will say there's no runtime overhead. There's a FMT inside the kernel. You have FMT inside the kernel, okay? You have entire FMT inside Linux kernel. Yes, they do incur a huge amount of runtime overhead. Probably, I think about 300 kilobytes would be at least, every kernel driver will be at least 300 kilobytes if you're using Rust. That is not actually the worst part, is that if you think that is acceptable, then there's nothing wrong for using C++ with exception binding in the kernel, right? And you can even improve the existing code, right? You can change existing C code, all these, you can use C with REI, even that's better, right? But, and you don't have initialized variables, in C you can C++, you can initialize variables. But we know that's still not good because all this, you cannot use exceptions, right? But here the Rust code is even worse, but Linux forward is totally brainwashed right now. That's the only thing I could say. I'm not saying using C++ is a good option. I think Linux kernel should stick with C, okay? Using any language won't save your kernel. I know Linus doesn't care about me because he has received billions of dollars from Google, probably. I think Google can do whatever they want from these big companies. He does not care about what I'm saying, right? But I think using any switching to any language doesn't solve any problem. Solve any problem with Linux kernel, and we know Linus is not the guy. He wants some kind of security, right? He wants performance, just like I do. I love performance. I don't care about safety if it hurts performance. That's exactly why he does not choose microkernel. But if you're saying using Rust is an option just to improve security, then what's wrong with microkernel? There's nothing wrong with microkernel. You don't care about performance. Don't listen to these Rust folks saying Rust is as safe, as fast as C or C++. It's not. You have to use unsafe just to get around the performance. That's wrong. That's propaganda. That's wrong. Just like the code I've shown before, if you watch my previous video, why I hate Rust programming language, you know I show how much overhead Rust bounty checking could be. It's not a trivial overhead, it's huge overhead. Okay? So that's it. That's about the video. What do you think about, do you think Linus Torvald is brainwashed or not? Or you think I'm wrong, I'm brainwashed, okay? Okay, whatever you want, you can put it in the comment section. But don't tell me that I don't use Rust, I don't understand Rust, whatever nonsense, right? And it's, okay, I have to joke about this thing, okay? So please don't do that. Okay, please don't do that. So that's about the entire video. Thank you for watching. And what do you think Linux tell me what you think about whether Linux kernel should be rewritten in Rust, or they should just rewrite some drivers in Rust, or what do you think about these unsafe coding inside Rust kernel in the Linux kernel? I don't think they are good. I don't believe they could bring any safety, memory safety, and all these memory safety CVEs prove our correctness. I think prove my correctness. So thank you for watching the video. Let me just, yeah.